So here's what happens sometimes when we follow the niche sports. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of grinding. It's a lot of, hey, do I trust this guy? How do I find the edge here? Do I trust the information? But then there's also that kind of like, because it's so nuanced and it's so new and there's not a whole lot of information to it, you almost have to embrace it. And boy, did we do that this week. I took first place. Gov took 11th place in the same contest. Donnie was within
57.
Yeah, you. I was going to say you were within the top 100. Juno, who also watches the podcast, finished
62. So,
our friend Double J, who's a big time NFL guy, he finished in the top 60 something, like I think around 68 or something.
Yeah, shout out to him, by the way. We have a personal Discord channel where we swap a lot of UFL notes, and that's very valuable. We talk about it on our show when we build, but having that core group of people that you can trust, like I say, for this kind of niche sport, where it's like the information is so, it's not always available, or it's not always popular, or well known. So you really have to trust your sources when it comes to this stuff. And sometimes that just means trusting your gut, being like, you know what, I've watched enough football. I know what good athleticism looks like.
Yeah, that's a good point, because that's what I was going to hit on. Not only trusting your sources, if you've watched the game, at this point, you know a lot more than most people. Trust yourself as well.
Yeah. Well, like Aitman was drafted by the Bills, but was injured basically his whole NFL career. But he had an NFL pedigree and profile. He just needed to get healthy. Obviously, he's healthy for the first time, but that kind of stigma is now on him that he's an injury-prone receiver. So he has to go somewhere like the UFL to prove himself. So even though like NFL teams like the Bills thought he was talented enough, he's now had to prove himself like, hey, I can stay healthy for a whole year. And you have to utilize that ability when you look at a sport like the UFL, because even the announcer mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, Evan, he said you have three types of players playing in this league at the same time. You have the player that's out of the NFL because they're aging, but they still have enough talent where they can perform and earn a paycheck. You have the player that's injury prone or wasn't given a chance in the NFL. He was like very borderline preseason, probably has the athleticism, but hasn't really got the playbook or the knowledge yet. And then you have like the guy who has tons of knowledge, but is limited athletically. So therefore a lower level league fits him well. And so you have a hodgepodge of different talent levels coming together for this like last chance pardon the pun, but that's basically what it is. So it might not be the best football, but what we get is a very hungry group of guys.
It's still pretty good football, though.
It is.
Like through 2 weeks, good games have been had.
Well, I think it's because people are so hungry. People want like that last professional paycheck, or they want that NFL chance. So you are literally getting people's best. It might not be the best talent, but you're getting the best of the talent they have.
I do think a lot of these games also did show off how like the rules they have in this league for when you get to the end of game, with the being able to take the 4th and 12 instead of the onside kick.
Yeah.
With the 3-point play off the line of scrimmage that can help you get, like, every touchdown now can be 9. That can help you get back in a game.
I also have very, important, somewhat breaking news. That YouTuber kicker destroying for San Antonio, I think it was. He is out for the season.
Broke his neck.
He
came
out with a tweet that's talking about how, like, telling kids, if you're going to play this, learn how to tackle. The reason he broke his neck is because he tackled a guy improperly.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a great example of why the hip drop shouldn't be banned, in my opinion. I don't know how much we're going to get into this, but that's how you keep yourself safe. I get offensive players getting hurt a little bit off of it, but that's because they're trying to break out of a tackle.
Right.
That's not because of the tackle being bad.
It's one thing to get hurt breaking out of a play. Like,
Yes.
that's like getting hurt going up for a ball and coming down. Like, that can happen. But to get hurt being the guy tackling, you didn't know how to hit him right. And then they change the way you got to hit a guy every other season, it seems like. That is going to start being a problem.
I
You
100%
get rid of the hip
agree.
tackle. Now, how are we supposed to tackle? In a way where everyone breaks their neck?
And that's the UFL allows hip drops, right?
Yeah,
I
right
don't
now
think
they
so.
do.
Yeah, they haven't banned it.
Exactly, and that's kind of my point. The issue isn't the tackle. The issue is people trying to escape the tackle.
Well, this is a violent game, and unfortunately, we see it every generation. Whenever we try to make rules, there are going to be adjustments to those rules, both negative and positive. Like, there is no perfect setup. There is no perfect, system. So when you play a violent game, violent things are going to happen sometimes.
Exactly.
It is unfortunate that, sometimes what we do is we try to limit things and then we end up totally changing it entirely, or we have to reinvent it like they have done with the kickoff rules and some of these other, modifications. It might be all done for the right reasons, but when you've known one way to play for so long, it is hard to make that adjustment. Any other weekend observations you wanted to make about the league before we do some deep diving? Because, like you say, we're all within the scope of very good lineups, so I'd almost want to just break them down and just talk about the different process theories that we had so we can build into next week.
I didn't get to watch too much, but man, St. Louis, I mean, we thought they were going to be one of the top offenses going in. If Durant plays like this, I don't know how you stop him.
Because he was just the backup.
Yeah,
and
again, Durant was awesome.
One of the reasons he came in lower owned was he was a replacement backup. But we already saw from the week one with our research that the backup was getting a lot of work for St. Louis.
Now
so,
he was
Durant stepping into a lot of work.
Now I guess Durant wasn't ready week one, but the idea was he was always talented enough to be at least number 2. So that was
and the
always
only person who could steal from him was Wayne Gallman.
Right. And I mentioned on the show, when we were building, that he had explosion, and that's what I like. Is I had seen it from the XFL, is when he was given a chance, although his snaps were limited, Durant was he was a kind of Darren Sproles type where he got the ball in space, he made things happen, and that's exactly what he did in this league. Yep. Now, given his price, he didn't need to do that much.
Well, he at the end of the game, for those who didn't watch it, he had a 41-yard rush down to the goal line that essentially won them the game. They kneeled it out afterwards and then kicked the field goal. That's a major points wise, but that's just big for an offense. In the 2-minute drill where you could just hand your back the ball and say, hey, go get us 40 yards. The offense is so good in St. Louis.
That's the thing, too. You could say, well, that's a big chunk play, and maybe that's lucky or good coincidence that, you got 40 yards. And sure, I would give you that point. But I'll also say they were winning that game. They literally needed out on the goal line. So
they kneeled it and then kicked the game-winning field goal.
Right. Essentially, ending the game. They weren't trying to score it on the goal lines. So what I'm saying is, even if Durant didn't pop off for that big 40-yard, he still lost points on the field because he would have been the running back in the goal line. So he didn't get those opportunities as well. Sometimes you just got to be happy with what you get, and you do expect that kind of shot play once in a while. It's the same thing when you play a wide receiver. You're hoping for that big, upside play. You're hoping for that, 50-yard, wide receiver catch, which actually we got with Aitman from St. Louis. He scored a 53-yard, touchdown in that game. And these are the type of big play, maybe lucky or celebratory moments, but you need those to win a contest. And I was able to take down first place because I got some of those celebratory moments.
Well, we talked about running back explosion, and St. Louis, I know it's not anywhere close to as fast, but we know they have a very talented receiver room. And it's kind of like the Dolphins, where the Mostert and those guys are so much more effective just because you are so worried about the outside.
Well, my point is we did get the celebratory lucky, 40-yard burst or the 53-yard touchdown, but we also got extremely good volume and consistency. Like the reason we were playing Durant, or the reason I was playing Durant, I should speak for myself here, is I had heard that he had the chance to get a lot of work. Like Gov was mentioning, yes, he was a secondary piece to that run game, but he was used so much as a spark plug for that offense that all you needed was those few big plays given his price. So you pay up knowing that you're going to get that kind of volume and that upside. Not that we ever needed the 21 points from him. I don't think we did. What we're really doing with that play is being able to play a Kirkland. You're able to play a Marable who's more consistent. You're willing to eat the chalk, knowing that if this cheap guy goes off, then I can just get, I can get the safety around it, and that's what I wanted to do. Like I knew Gaber. I always pronounce his name wrong. It's Gabers, right?
Garbers. I
Garbers.
Yeah.
You want to take the comment off the screen so the chat can see my face? That's how we get the views, Logan.
Oh yeah. Your face.
Well, now we only see the top half of it.
I think it's way more likely that maybe we get a few Patriots fans who hit the subscribe button way more than your sex appeal.
Are you okay?
I'm sorry, give me a sec. Oh God.
Okay. While the children play, Evan was, because you were watching this live. I will figure out how to say Chase Gaber's name eventually.
Garbers.
Like I say, win me a couple more tournaments. This is only a $50 win. Win me a couple more and I'll learn how to say your name. But you were watching this game.
Logan.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
hey,
that's
hey.
bad.
Hey, I've been called worse, trust me. But look, so Evan's watching this, and I was like, with the rules, with how crazy this is, every game is available. They want points. Do you think that takes away from the game at all? Like the fact that you can get back into a game so quickly, Evan?
No, I don't think it takes anything away from it. I think, if anything, it's just finding its own way to be different from the way NFL football is played, because San Antonio and Memphis turned out to be a way closer game than I expected. Yeah. And I had forgotten about the rule, the make it take it rule that San Antonio was able to take advantage of in the fourth quarter, because otherwise I thought Memphis was going to win that game. Then San Antonio scored that last touchdown that put them up 20-19 and let them win that game. So no, I don't think it takes anything away from it at all. I could absolutely expect the NFL to start taking notes and looking to see, what can we vote on to copy from them?
I do like the fact that you can't kick an extra point. I think it's more important to have the extra point ability. I like having the extra point ability, but it was something that Ben Roethlisberger brought up. What was it, 5 years ago now, where he's like, I wish we'd just go for 2 every time. Mm-hmm. So
going for 2 in the NFL is so much different, though.
No, but the percentage, actually, it kind of equates out if you have a good enough offense. I know your percent would drop a little bit if you continue to do it, but
yeah, because that's the problem with the NFL, is that the talent pool is so different that you're better off just kicking the extra point.
Yeah,
and I like special teams, but
talking about winning margins, though, I wanted to highlight, because this is Gov's lineup now. He finished 11th. I finished first. But we built these lineups kind of with the same concept, Gov. We spoke about it a lot tonight. Now, what happens is the winning margin in such a small niche sport like the UFL, you go from winning $50 to $6. It seems like a drastic drop off. I didn't think it was. I
still 5x. I didn't 50x my money, yeah. But I can
that's
even explain.
valuable.
Like if you've seen me make my lineups, you know the correlation I love. So like, what were my 2v2s? I basically got a bring back to my Kirkland and Memphis stack. Like, you went Garber's double, I went Garber's single bring back.
Right.
And then instead of Marable, who was chalky, I got a little more different and went with the correlation with my defense, pair my defense and my running back.
And to be fair, so we can talk about this from a lineup building perspective. If I was in your position, I would have done something very similar. I stayed with Marable because I was winning, because I knew he would be higher owned, because he had more safety. I didn't need to get as risky. Now, maybe you wouldn't have made any changes. You liked your lineup anyways. But like, that's the thing I don't think gets enough credit is when you're talking about these niche sports and needing to get so different to chase down first place, you do need to try to get off some of the chalk to do that. We saw Double D spoke about that a lot. A very successful DFS player, that me and Gov know from some private Discord channels. He spoke about that with the NFL sometimes. It's like, yeah, a guy's going to do well, but if his ownership is at a certain level and you got to get up to first place or you got to get in one of the top 10 so you can hit that tier break of winning some real money, you got to take chances once in a while. And there is strategy to that as well.
Correct.
Besides your sex appeal, Dottie, do you have anything to add on these like lineup building structures?
No, not right now. No, you can.
Nothing.
I mean, we kind of, I don't know anything about Adams still. I really don't. I have no idea who Adams is.
No, oh, dude, you should definitely.
See, I was expecting a bounce back week from him. The fact that he didn't get a touchdown is probably the only thing that stopped me from being right there next to Logan in first.
That was very unfortunate.
Like, I could have taken Harris, because Marable did well.
Harris
was also chalky and expensive. Harris was cheaper, and he also was basically a touchdown away from being fine.
And his teammate stole a touchdown, did he not? I think he had a touchdown stolen from the backup back there.
Yeah, the backup on DC did get a touchdown, yes.
Now, that's what I was going to mention about Adams, though. Adams had one of the more spectacular catches of the weekend. I believe he caught a 3rd and 19 to keep a drive alive.
Mm-hmm.
Very good high point receiver, just for some reason doesn't get the volume of like an Aitman or something like that, who has just been like a sure-handed, safety blanket for a quarterback. For some reason, Adams doesn't get the ball thrown up to him enough, in my opinion, because I feel like this weekend, every time there was a jump ball situation, Adams had a chance to come down with it. It's just for whatever reason, Chase Cookis doesn't want to play that way. See, maybe it's because Cookis has won me enough money that I can say his name. So I just need Gabers to win me a few more dollars and I'll learn how to say his name.
He's won you 50. Like, how much more you gotta win you?
Yeah, he's won more than any other quarterback in this league.
Although, it was only a $50 win. By my rule, if you win anything over $1,000, you should be buying the jersey of the lowest owned player.
Of the lowest owned player?
Yes.
I think honestly though.
I plan on anytime I bank a tournament over $1,000, I will buy the jersey of the lowest owned player in my
That's a fair rule.
Now,
whoever it is.
Honestly, I think
I don't care the team. I don't. Yeah.
I think a lot of our viewership though comes from
randomly have a Grayson Allen Phoenix jersey in my shits.
See, I think that's great storylines, and honestly, that's why I think this podcast has gotten so popular. It's people like this idea that we're all friends, that we're just 3 guys, 4 guys, having fun with the community and just talking through it. And then all of a sudden, hey, we actually have strategy. We just won first place. But those kind of fun storylines that tell a story, if I have a jersey and someone's like, why do you have this guy's jersey? You're not even a Dallas Mavericks friend. But oh, well, Kyrie won me, $100 in a contest. That's a fun entry level conversation you can have with any sports fan. I think that kind of stuff is cool. Donnie, are you disappointed? Like you had to be proud because you saw our names up there, but you dropped quite a bit. But like I was saying about we Gov's lineup, I thought our lineups were very similar and very good at the
There
same
he
time.
is. Oh, just scrolled right by him.
Yep,
There he is.
57. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the same thing as well. The difference is Cutie and Rogers, which Rogers, again, disappoints. I almost didn't play it, but he was just the sexiest name there. To me, anyway.
The weird thing about him is, so his price hasn't dropped. His ownership is dropping, and he's active enough to hope that you get more from him. I think in week one, Evan took him. He got 5 points. Some of that was lucky because he got it at the last second, but he still got it. Like he still got the usage. He's the kick returner. In this game, he has such low ownership, but he has NFL talent. You're like under 2%. If he catches one pass, it could go to the house.
Yeah, and this lineup wasn't even my best lineup, or what got me the most out of the weekend. I had one that was 123 that was very similar. It was just a 2v2.
Yeah, see, like I believe we all like made the right decision. Like, I'd like to know. So, like, I get why you played Rogers, and then QT, and instead you like paired like the wide receiver in the defense, and like you got your low ownership with those plays.
And that kind of made up for the McCarron play. That's how I felt.
You were going like same thing when I'm playing Garbers. Like, I know I'm playing a chalky quarterback. Plus, I'm playing Kirkland and Aitman, who are two of the chalkier plays on the slate.
Okay, so pricing is out already. I was wondering if pricing was out because I'm going to look at what Rogers is. Would you play Rogers again next week?
At that ownership, if he's 69,
he's got to be. I was about to say he's got to be under 7K for me.
Yeah, if he's 69, I think I do.
He can't be 8K.
Because that's the thing. Johnny played him this week. Evan liked him week one. We know he has NFL pedigree. His ownership is dropping, but his price isn't dropping quick enough. Do you think
Birmingham is what you're going for, Logan?
Do you think that explosion is there, though?
I don't know. 60. I see you might have to at 68, man. You just might have to.
I think I'd rather have Kane, to be honest.
Wait, is he the most expensive?
Yeah.
Stallions wide receiver still?
He still is the most expensive.
Not by much.
But that's the thing is Kane saw 6 targets each week. It has NFL experience with the Colts. I
think I would rather just play Kane, yeah.
What's Rogers at targets wise?
He hasn't really seen much. He's more of a smaller stat guy. Obviously, that kind of explosion worked with the Steelers years ago. But the one thing is the ownership is going to be low, right? So
of course,
maybe he is the guy that makes you different.
Well, Sage Surratt, what is his price?
Yeah, but his ownership's going to be so low. Like, if you do that, you might as well just play chalk around him and hope that he goes on.
Right.
No one else is really thinking.
I'd love to know what Surratt's price has gone up to.
Plays for Memphis, yeah.
See, that's ridiculous. That's a steal still.
Tight ends are always going to be a steal, and the week that one of them has like 2, you're going to need them.
Yeah, it's a constant play for me.
What's interesting about him is week one.
Yeah, with that targets and the red zone worth, I'm with you. Like, I kind of have to have a lot of safety.
He's 100. He's a 100% lock.
And he dropped a touchdown this last week. He literally had a touchdown in his hands and dropped it.
Do you want to go back to the other contest before? I don't want to look too much into the next week stuff.
Yeah, I can go back. I'll actually pull up.
We'll look more into it on Friday.
Well, I figured we could pull up Juno's lineup and at least see the difference in that, because I don't even know exactly what the plays were there.
Okay,
I know there was a lot of similar to what we had.
You did know his placement though in this contest, right?
66, so it was right under me.
I don't know. I guess I pull up my golf line.
I can't talk golf.
If you guys
there's 3 free golf tournaments for the Masters this week. Yeah. Get your lineup in before 6 a.m. Thursday.
All right.
I build it Wednesday night.
It is the greatest time to play golf if you're going to try, because it is Masters.
The majors are the best ones. But there are some free golf tournaments on DraftKings.
So 67.
66. What up?
66. There he is.
Yeah, because I don't know what the difference was. Actually, it's pretty similar to mine in general. Another thing. Couple 2v2s, different quarterback.
Marable Surratt, yeah. If he gets a touchdown from Surratt, then he's got to line up right up there with the rest of us.
Exactly. And, like Logan said, touchdown difference for Surratt. It dropped touchdowns. Surratt will have a huge boom game this season. I have no question about that. Surratt's price actually went down because he was just 6K, right?
He was 6,100 last week.
Yeah, now in the next week he's 6K, so he went down.
His price went down.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do that in DraftKings. They'll like play with the guy's price.
Fluctuated a couple of hundred based off of nothing, it seems like.
Right. And even if they have a good week, they'll almost fluctuate it down to almost entice you to be like, hey, do you like this? You might like this more if we drop it 100 more.
Do we think Kirkland's going to continue this production? There's no way, right? 9 targets a week
I think
and catching
he's good. He's that talented.
I just don't see how you can continue to do
My
it.
guy is Amen. I'll keep playing him because AJ McCarron's shown the propensity to love to target one guy. Like when he trusts a guy, he kind of goes to him like a Kelvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, like relationship. So
where was Double J in this contest as well? I
believe he's a few big ticks down. Let's see.
Yeah, good.
You can always type.
You can search it, yeah.
Yeah, his name is Double J, isn't it?
Yes.
See if I can find him.
There it is.
Here he is.
93rd. He still came in the top 100.
Yeah, that's right. Because he
made some pivots. He went to the Michigan Panthers defense to try to. He knew he was like dead in the water. Like you both got Aitman. He has Kirkland. He has Garbers, but he didn't have Stevenson. So like, he had to make some shots. So like, he went
Double J filled out the 20 entry max. He did all 20 entries.
Yeah, he did very well.
I see that. He 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them cashed.
Yeah, he did make profit. He did say the defense didn't end up costing him.
He didn't like playing the chalky defense, and I can get that. Like I think that might be something to move forward. Like try not to play the chalkiest defense.
I do know he had Brandon Smith in his lineup, but I think a lot of people saw the 7 targets. Do you think this was a mistake play? Because the thing is like we talk about say Gerard and like, do you think there's a difference basically between getting targets and like, is there a difference between 7 targets depending on how the 7 targets come about? Is it like red zone targets we should pay more attention to, or the big body targets, the targets they like?
Personally, if I'm looking at the value of the targets, I don't care if it's a red zone target. But if you're not getting red zone targets, you have to get third down targets. Because I need to know at the end of the game in those situations you're going to get the ball.
So it's more of a value. Like you want to know that guy is counted on.
Yeah.
He's considered a value.
Like the red zone targets add to the value as well. But as long as I know you're trusted in third down, because if it's 3rd and goal and your quarterback, he's going to his guy no matter what.
Yeah. So, Evan, you've been quiet. So, like, based on what you saw this weekend, based on the lineups that we looked at so far, the fact where we all finished, what do you think is like the one thing we haven't talked enough about tonight, if there's anything in terms of how you would build a lineup for next week? Is there anything you take away for sure? Is there a guy you potentially maybe stay away from because he's played too well so far? Or he's played above his skis, if you will?
I cannot think of one guy that I can safely say to either keep playing or stay away from at this point because we've only been through 2 weeks. Cody Latimer finally woke up, but I don't think he's going to be getting 9 targets.
That's what scares me. No, he was though last year. That's the thing. And I was, I finally talked myself out of it at the last minute, but I really regret not playing him. That's my biggest regret.
I mean, my initial thought on that myself would be probably Aitman. Like, yes, he was amazing this week, got you 30 points, but like on 2 catches, or like he did it on 4 catches with 2 touchdowns.
4 catches with 2 touchdowns.
Also, Lattimore only went up 200. He's 6,700, which is better price than even Amari Rogers. So
I think the way to get different, because it's already come out that the quarterback for Houston, Gonzalez, is going to be out for at least a month. He was injured going into or at the end of week 1. He didn't look good. The backup came in, looked really well. So it looks like they're going to go with Reed, I believe is the backup's name. He looked really
Reed
well.
was on the Bengals practice squad last year.
Yeah, and he performed well too when he was in there. And now it is official. Gonzalez is out. Now, before the show, I was talking to Double J a bit, and he was like, but the problem is it's not a Durant situation. He's not going to sneak up on anyone.
Yeah. Another thing about Reed, by the way, he is the only active QB on the roster right now. Everyone else is out with an injury tag.
Right.
It's a good question. Because my point was, Gonzalez's news isn't going to sneak up on anyone. He's right. We're not going to get that Durant moment. But I even talked about it last week. Durant was a 1 in 1,000 type opportunity. Like, he should have been updated as not out. He wasn't. DraftKings really assisted us with that one, listing him as out as long as they did. It was Friday night. He was still listed as out. You're not going to get those kind of informational advantages every week. However, having Gonzalez ruled out, unless they price Reed to a point that you're like, oh damn, he's so price dependent that I need to make an adjustment. What I was telling Double J is it's more about what you can do with Reed in your lineup or with an unknown quarterback in your lineup. Like what can you do around him? Does he allow you to play a Kirkland and a Cody Lattimore? Does he allow you to play like 3, secure players? Because that's when you can get different,
Yeah. And for reference, Durant is still only 7,300 after that game. So they, didn't.
I mean, he still is the backup, though, technically.
I would play Wayne Goldman this week, I think, over Durant.
14. I mean, he had 15 total touches.
Ownership looks to play out and look at projections later, but I should be available for our normal 10 o'clock Friday lineup builder.
No,
I'll be ready then too.
Now, Gov, you play Garbage just like I did. See, I'm learning his name. See, he's that money must slowly be trickling into my account. That I'm learning his name. you played him like I did.
Mm-hmm.
That first half, he looked terrible.
It was a sluggish first half.
It was the second half and his emergence in that second half.
He had 2 touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah. And I mentioned it with Evan earlier. It's that fourth quarter, never say die, that kind of like you can always get points in this league. You're never out of it, kind of college overtime rules that allowed him to score so many points last minute. I mean, I think they had like 14 points in the last minute and a half. So if that doesn't happen, he probably does not hit his value for how much he was priced. I think this is the week where we should fade him, maybe going into next week. So those are my kind of like early thoughts into next week is maybe fading him on purpose for like an AJ McCarron. So you stay within that range, but you just get off the hot guy.
Yeah, they both came in at about 34%, didn't they, in this contest?
Yeah, about that, yes.
Mm-hmm. They were the
I
two
think McCarron was still above Garbers in this contest at a little higher than 34.
But I think when you do eat chocolate this week, another point I'll make, and then I'll let you guys wrap up with whatever you got left. If you're going to eat chocolate this week, make sure you stack it. So if you want an 8-man, pair him up with the quarterback in AJ McCarron. If you're going to play, Kirkland, make sure you got Chase Garbers, because how many chances is Kirkland going to go off without Garbers unless you're anticipating injuries or a 2-quarterback system? Which, by the way, we saw more Lindsey in that Arlington game as well. who is their second string quarterback, a more athletic version. So Perez took a backseat to Lindsey for Arlington in that game as well. So we are seeing more two quarterback systems being implemented in this league to the point that makes me a bit uncomfortable. So these are the type of like little edges that we might want to pay attention to.
Are we thinking that's just because teams are still trying to figure out who they have at quarterback, being that there really wasn't much of a preseason? Or is that just because there's different skill sets that they're trying to use for this league?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think, they want to get players to the next level or to a level that they feel like, oh, well, I played in this league so I could get noticed by the NFL, so I could get a preseason roster. So they want to be fair to that kind of commitment, and get people game film, if you will. And then there's also that experimentation of like, hey, he's an athletic quarterback. He's at the goal line. Let's utilize our weapons the best we can. So was there any other takeaways that you guys want to mention? Because this week, don't expect us, collectively, I think we made like $70 profit. I could show you our group lineup. It wasn't as good as any of our individual lineups that we showed you tonight, but it was very similar to a lot of the lineups we looked at. So you basically saw the plays we were on.
I have a non-UFL thing to talk about.
What's that?
It is NBA. Giannis left the game today with a non-contact calf injury. And that's a pretty big deal, I think, especially where he's getting, old. Not that he's old, but he's getting older. He's played the most games he's played in 5 years, and he's playing the most minutes he ever played. I wonder if his body's going to be able to hold up for this playoffs.
I never liked non-contact injuries.
I don't either. It's just a calf strain, they said. But my thing is, he's played almost. He's going to end up. Well, now his regular season's over. He's going to play over 10 games than he's used to playing, and he's playing over 3 minutes a game than what he's played the last couple of years. I think that's concerning.
But I think it would be more concerning if we put too much pressure on it. Sometimes, it's okay to be like, when he got injured, it was a bit of a scare. We're going to shut him down for the rest of the year. I think that's very smart.
Well, it's an average 2 week injury.
Especially in a game they were winning and he was crushing. Okay,
right.
Yeah, no, the average length for this injury is about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So he still might have to rush back, depending on how bad it is.
But the way that the NBA series is laid out, I think if you rushed a star player like that, you'd be making a mistake.
Well, Logan, if you go down 1-0 in the start of the series and you lose home court advantage, you kind of are forced in a way, or feel forced, especially where the Bucks have not been the most staggering team this year.
I would rather have my star player injured, be down 3-0, than rush him back after one game.
I don't know. If you go down 2-0, I think you have to bring him back. But I don't think that will happen. That's just, unless they get stuck against Miami, which is worst case scenario.
If it was like a Derek Jeter situation or a Kobe Bryant situation where it's like he's aging and this is his last playoff kind of window, then maybe you would rush him back a bit. But I still think he's a franchise player. You don't play with that unless you know.
Well, if you remember correctly, that's how Kevin Durant's Achilles tear happened. They rushed back a calf injury.
Exactly, and I thought that was mismanaged and really.
Oh, that was their last year with KD anyway. They didn't care.
Yeah, I'm saying somebody should have cared about Kevin Durant at that end. But to keep this moving and more football centric, is there any other football takes before we wrap up tonight?
I got nothing.
League is good. Watch more of it, people.
This is amazing football.
Oh, it
is actually legit good football.
Let me call out everyone for a moment. Because seriously, before we went live, there was a notice that Birmingham was having trouble selling the tickets. So they literally dropped the ticket pricing this week to $10 a ticket to try to get people to come to the home stadium. Now I know that gamblers are degenerates and that we will bet on things and that we will generate attention because we want to make money. They know that as well. I understand that we are an important part of the ecosystem of a league like this. And sure, if we didn't gamble on it, we wouldn't have as much interest. But I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have that much interest in the NBA if I didn't gamble on it. I wouldn't have that much interest in MLB. This is a good level of football. It's very affordable for a family. So if you're not a gambling man, you could bring a whole family there for like $40. If you are a gambling person, why not? It's a great time. You can spend $20 on your tickets, $30 on a meal, and feel like you had a Thanksgiving feast with a friend. I really do enjoy this football. I'm kind of over trying to convince people that it's good football. I mean, I think we showed that to Evan. I think I've shown that to the people that I really care about, and whether other people watch it or not, I can't always help. It's kind of like women's basketball. It's like I've been watching women's basketball for 10 years. I'm immensely proud that it reached its point of viewership this year. But guess what? I've been watching it for 10 years, so it's not any different for me. I'm very proud of where it's came, and so hopefully spring football kind of has that effect. Hopefully we keep winning. Enough people want to play, A hustle sees us, he's like, hey, I'm going to throw in a lineup too, and then, it kind of snowballs in that effect, but we can't always control that. I'll just say that we're going to build a lineup on Friday night. We're going to tell you the plays we like. One of these weeks, we're going to have a terrible week. Guess what? We're still going to come at you. We're still going to give you why we like to play, why we didn't like to play. And I'm just going to enjoy the league.
Front row tickets are $34 each.
That's what I'm saying. It's a fun time, man.
Front row.
Go watch a good football game, people.
Yeah, take advantage of it.
They won't last forever.
Yeah, maybe they should be more expensive. But guess what? The only way to really prove that they should be more expensive is to go there and enjoy it and then show people, hey, you know what? This was a good time. So why not try it out, And if not, maybe at least you don't try it out and I can win another $50. Either way, we'll be back with you guys on Friday night. So, hey, I don't mind, man. The $50.
We're all coming for you. We were all.
Hey, man, we are killing this league.
Hey, I said it. We can all drift together, man. I don't care about me. Just make sure that we stay within that top 10 band. That's fine with me. I'll drift to the 10th spot once in a while. I just want that NASCAR, we can have the F1 experience where we win, what is it, Van Stappen's won 20 of the last 23 races or something crazy?
Something stupid, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I can't enjoy that.
I could. I'm telling you what, right now,
fast car go fast, yeah.
If we finish the rest of this year in the top 10 of the UFL contest, I have no problem with that.
Oh, I meant F1 there. I can't enjoy that.
If it affects your wallet, Donnie's all for it, but he doesn't want dominance any other way.
No, I'm fine with dominance, but just watching the same guy win not even a circuit, just win a race like that, no one can even catch him.
It's true. All right, but hopefully on Friday night we'll bring you more content. I'm actually really glad. Hopefully there's not a Durant out there Friday night, so we can really do a deep dive and show people we know what we're talking about. We weren't just a one-hit wonder. We do this every week. Like and subscribe. We saw great growth recently. We saw 4 or 5 viewers in a week. You guys are really noticing that we do cover the niche sports. We do enjoy the sport. Donnie even gave you NBA news right off the rip because he cares about sports. So that's the one thing we give in this podcast is we care. We're not always the most productive group yet. We're not always the most clean group yet, but we do our research. We really grind the edges. With that being said, we'll be grinding again Friday night. See you guys in about 9:30. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Peace out, everyone.
Good night.